So now we're on. Hey, it's Mina. Thank you for the 10x Vision interview of former corporate leader turned entrepreneur. This show is sponsored by pullimpact.com. The purpose of the show is to introduce you to 10x people and their career transitions, lessons learned, and success journeys, so you too can take inspired actions to make the change you want to see in your life and in the world. To fulfill your full potential, you want to surround yourself with 10x people, those who take action to achieve their audacious dream. Today, my guest is Hilary Rank, former higher education director turned entrepreneur. Hilary used to lead a team of 40 in serving more than 300,000 customers. Please help me welcome Hilary Rank. So welcome to the show, Hilary.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
So tell us, what do you do and who do you serve?
So I am a health and wellness coach for women over 40, and I help them look and feel happy, healthy, and sexy without sacrifice. And I do that through my methodology, which is the balanced effect. And there's 3 pillars. It's balanced hormones, balanced fitness, and balanced mindset.
Wonderful. So you were a director at University of Phoenix. Now you're an entrepreneur. What led you to where you are today and why you're at where you are at today?
So it definitely wasn't overnight, for sure. I always had an interest in the health and wellness industry, but frankly, I let fears hold me back from actually pursuing it for, gosh, almost 20 years. And I really did live my life for the first half just based on other people's expectations of me. So my original major in college was nutritional science, but I got into chemistry class and freaked out, as a 20-some, like 19-year-old did, and just went the easy route, went to communications as my major, graduated, and started in the corporate world. I moved out to Arizona from Nebraska, and I don't know, I just feel maybe I let fears hold me back for the longest time. So I started really at entry level at the University of Phoenix, and I was always raised to be a high achiever. I'm a type A personality. So I just did what I learned to do. I moved up through the university into leadership. And while the career was the University of Phoenix was very good to me, and it was a great career. I had a great salary, and it really provided for my family. And while my life looked great on the outside, I felt so horrible on the inside. I knew that I was not fulfilling what I was brought here to this earth to do, and just that disparity of knowing I was meant to do something else and that my passions were laid elsewhere, and I was still letting my fears hold me back and stay in my comfort zone. So it actually just got to the point where I felt that discomfort of the difference finally got to be too much, and I found the courage to hire a career coach and really figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Another huge precipitating factor was my health. My health I should have been I was in the best shape of my life. I had just competed in fitness competitions, had like a perfect diet, but I was my most ill. I felt like physically, I was not doing well health-wise, and it took a lot of soul searching to realize that it was my mindset, and that really unhappiness was causing so many health issues in my body. So that's it in a nutshell.
Oh, wow. It's interesting. I have similar path. I just follow everyone's expectation and suggestions of having a safe career, making good money, looking amazing from the outside and feeling soreness and empty
Yes.
inside. And but then we spend so much time tolerates that suffering. It's interesting nowadays, people probably start feeling that even in their late 20s or after 25, because things are changing so fast now.
Right.
So how do you recommend, or do you have any recommendation for people who are like after they pass 25, 26 and start to worry about being old, because now things happen so fast and they start to worry, especially when we compare to everyone else. We start
Right.
to worry how we look, how we feel. So things are happening faster now. They realize they need to make a change before even get to 30s. What's the best way they can do besides hiring a career coach?
What is the best thing they can do besides hiring a career coach?
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest a lot of internal work.
Mm-hmm.
If they're unhappy, if they know that they're not where they want to be, or what they're doing is not feeding their passions or soul, one, I would say definitely fear is holding them back, and then, their self-confidence. So for me, it was a huge epiphany when I started doing some inner work and delving into the personal development world, really understanding why I was the way I was and what beliefs and self-talk and behaviors that I was doing that got me to where I was. And I think once you understand why you are the way you are, then it's much easier to change. So you can really uncover why you're scared to change, why you think that it's impossible to change careers or take that leap or overcome that fear. So that's really something I teach in the balanced effects, really knowing yourself. And I think that's the greatest gift anyone can give themselves, is to really know themselves and then to evolve.
That's a great advice. As a matter of fact, it's funny that when I was in the corporate world, even in the leadership positions, I read a lot of books about being a leader, about managing things, about influencing other people, but I never thought about turning like from inside, looking inside. And why I'm supporting everyone to be brilliant and grow. And then I was like getting sicker and sicker inside. It's quite interesting that nowadays, hopefully more people will have the ability and the resources to turn inside and grow from there.
I think it's much easier to stay in our comfort zone and live life according to this little box that we put ourselves in. But that box sometimes gets to be too tight and suffocates us. And then we just have we have to have the courage or figure out a way to get out, to look outside the box and see life a different way. And that's where the inner work comes in.
True. As a matter of fact, those boxes are actually imaginary. We can just put
they're
them.
totally imaginary.
It can just like burst quite easily.
Right.
So I understand that you tell us, or you already told us a little bit about your process, how you change. Do you have a concrete decision process of how you finally decide from making your career change? If someone's in front of you, for example, you're 20 something years old, asking you now the question, what's your process? If there's a simple 1, 2, 3 steps that you can help them to make the decision to at least start to thinking about the change.
Well, I guess I think they need to kind of future pace themselves. And well, one, they need to know their core values, like what is most important to them. And then two, you need to take a look to the future and decide whether the path that you're on is really going to stay true to those core values. And if you can see yourself living the life that you really think that you should be living 10 years from now. For me, I mean, I had other people to consider because I'm a mother. And for me, I guess maybe one of the final straws was I wanted to be the mother that showed my sons that anything is possible instead of accepting that this is as good as it's going to get and staying in that little box. So even if they don't have children, I mean, maybe they will in the future. So think about, how this is going to impact their future family if they, stay where they're at or if they make a change. Um, I mean, and I also think you can't ignore your instincts. If your instincts are telling you something, if your gut is telling you that what you're doing right now isn't right, I spent so many years like shoving that down, like feeling super uncomfortable about it, and then getting really inspired to do something different. But then I would get scared again and I would shove it down. It's like the little flea in the cup, it's like a box that you're in, and the flea keeps jumping up against, if you put a paper over the cup, it keeps jumping up to the ceiling. But when they lift the cup, the flea still stays down. So like I could see the possibility, but like my fears kept me small. And so if your gut's telling you something that you need to change, you absolutely must listen to it. So your gut, think about yourself in the future, and then think about your core values. Those are my 3 decision-making steps.
That's so true. You're actually speaking for so many people. I know probably at least 85%, according to the Gallup poll, that 85% of us in the corporate world are not happy, and then we're just doing the status quo.
Yep.
So that's really important for people to hear about that. Did you have any guilt when you start changing from your high pay, high status job to going on your own?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what kept me from not doing it for so long. Just that fear. And again, having that box of, okay, I have a wonderful house. I have children who I can provide for and send them to all sorts of activities. They have a great education. I have a great husband. I like the cars we drive. I like going on vacations. So thinking about having all that taken away was absolutely terrifying, because at that moment it seemed like the most important thing in my life to keep this little frame around my life. So one, that kept me from doing it for a long time, but I finally, I talked to my husband. He was part of this, I didn't just do it arbitrarily, and he was supportive of it. But yes, many times during this journey, it's been about 2 years now since I've become an entrepreneur, and I will tell you, the biggest thing that holds me back is when I let that fear come back in and feel guilty about, maybe we don't have quite the standard of living as we used to as I'm building my business. But one of the biggest lessons I've learned is you can't focus on that, because that's going to kill your dreams and kill your business.
That's so true. For women, we feel guilty. I think for guys, when I interview my previous guest, he said for guys, they feel ashamed, or they feel the shame of like giving up a high pay job and to do something
Right.
that no one thinks is a good idea.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I've definitely had those feelings, but my dream and the impact I want to make on the world and the example I want to make to my kids prevails over that.
That's really powerful. So in starting up your business, you probably heard so many people giving you advice, and not every advice is a good one. How did you handle the not so good one, but not feeling bad about it?
Well, I mean, I did feel bad about it because I took some bad advice. I think every person who wants to become an entrepreneur has to learn very quickly that the faster you fail and the faster you're going to get ahead. So I was thinking small. I was just thinking in terms of what I knew when I started. So I was providing a service instead of a solution, and it wasn't scalable. So I mean, I don't know that it was advice. I guess it was just, an example that I'd seen from other people. So you must pick something that's scalable, because this was the other part of advice that I received, is like when you have your own business that you have to sacrifice and you have to work lots of long hours, and you can't have, a happy, balanced home life and the business. That's absolutely not true. Did you ask me for 3 pieces of advice?
Oh, that's the former one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
go
yeah,
ahead.
this one is more about how you handle those people who give you the wrong
Mm,
advice or who try to hold you back.
what do
Because
I do? Yeah.
yeah, because I used to have a mentor, who's a guy and a CEO who makes a lot of money by exceeding the company. He gave me the advice of like going back to what I used to do. He said I could introduce you to so many of my CEO friends. You have
Right.
a great career. I was like, hold on. I didn't want to go back what I used to do.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why I.
Well, yeah, you're going to have that too. My father, he's an entrepreneur, and he really cautioned me against, but he's a different type of entrepreneur, and he only knows what he knows. He doesn't really
Mhm,
understand a digital entrepreneur.
mhm,
And, there was that advice that you're going to have to work harder, and just certain pieces of advice about marketing and things like that. And yeah, you have to be prepared that it's going to shake you, because these people mean a lot to you, but you
mhm,
have to, that's where the inner work comes in, and that's where discovering where your beliefs, behaviors, and self-talk come from,
mhm.
and deciding that you want to change that, because we're all indoctrinated to a certain way of living, and those well-meaning people, they do mean well, but
True.
they have their own beliefs, behaviors, and self-talk that they're trying to push on you. So you have to be strong enough in your conviction that you're changing who you are being inside, and not let them shake you.
That's
That
so
that's
beautiful.
that's really a huge distinction. Huge. And you might understand this, Ming, from it's not what you're doing, it's who you're being. So that change needs to come from inside, and allowing this outside people to impact that is, well, you can't let that shake you.
That's so true.
Mhm.
So, how did you get your first few clients and sustain your business in the beginning? And I understand you're planning to pivot again.
Mhm.
So, tell us a little bit about that.
I'm sorry, repeat the first part of the question. How did I what?
How did you get your first few clients and get your business
Clients.
going?
Well, when I left, I had lots of contacts and people I knew from my old position,
Mm,
and they had seen me, I had done a transformation myself of my
mm,
health and wellness. And when I let it be known that I was going into this field, people were very intrigued and wanted to work with me. So my pretty much every client that I've gotten is through a referral or from, being an acquaintance. So that is
mm,
huge. Your network is just really huge. But the great thing is, with marketing, you can build your network even bigger through ads
mhm.
and things like that. So my first clients were that way. And then I guess I have gone through such a huge transformation from what I pictured myself doing when I first started. And what I pictured myself first doing, I realized very quickly it wasn't feasible and scalable for the goals that I had for myself. So I had to think about my business in a different way, and think bigger, and think of who I really wanted to serve. That was huge. Getting that dialed in was enormous.
Mhm.
And what kind of impact I wanted to make. So that has been a huge learning process. I knew from the very beginning that I really wanted to focus on women, but dialing in exactly who and what. And it's really from my own personal journey through health and awakening, and really moving into what I think I was meant to do. that inspired me to want to share it with other women. So the impact I want to make on this world is to inspire other women to realize that the keys to living the life that they always dream of is inside them. And to really step into that, to break past those fears and reach out and take it. And a huge part of that's feeling good. So you have to feel good outside and inside, and you need to move your body. So that's fitness. And then the mindset, that is just, if I would have known what I know now, my life would have been so different. I wouldn't have been stuck in that little box for so long. So, but I think we all we have a journey of our own that we have to go through.
That's so beautiful. I check your Instagram, you look amazing, both from inside out, from outside in, both
Right.
ways. So do you find it challenging to talk to people about building health, especially about the mind-body connection you just talked about?
I'm definitely learning more about influence and persuasion and how to actually break past people's limiting beliefs. But I do find, until I can show women the power of the mind-body connection, I do feel that women are doubtful. They don't really, it's not really something our society focuses on a lot, especially with our current medical system, in terms of it's always a prescription or something to mask whatever's going on. And I think all of our lives would be very different if we could make that connection. So I was just talking yesterday to a couple clients, because I do some training on the side still. And I was telling them, someone asked me how I was feeling, and I said, oh, I've been feeling great. I went back to eliminating dairy, gluten, and eggs from my diet. And they looked at me like I was crazy. They couldn't believe that I could do it. And I said, well, yeah, I really have. I do notice once you take all that stuff out and start adding it back in, I connect my mood and the way I'm feeling with those foods. It absolutely affects, depression, anxiety, and things like that. And they did look at me like, I was talking to some guys though, so the guys don't always listen. They looked at me like I was crazy. And I just know that the work I've done with my clients, for instance, one of my clients, she has the autoimmune disorder that I have, but I've never treated it with medication. It's all been the mind-body connection and alternative methods. And when I showed her the power of her own mind to reverse her flare-ups of her condition, I mean, it absolutely changed her life. So I do feel like it's difficult to talk about it sometimes, and I do think you have to demonstrate to people that connection.
Well, the great thing is you look great, so you'll be a great model for so many people who are willing to listen. And it's interesting. They are thinking they constantly looking up to famous people or gurus. Right. I tell people, you don't need a guru to tell you what to do. You can test it yourself, even in 7 days. As simple as that.
Well, I do think one of the mistakes a lot of people make is thinking they can do it on their own and not understanding how our mind works and how your mind actually can sabotage you. So I do think it's really important to seek out a mentor or a coach to help you. But yes, I think so many people look to the outside. They think they need another diet. They think they need another workout plan. They think they need another supplement. And that's not the case at all. The power is inside them. It's just, you need to know how to unlock it.
True. It is, of course, it's very good to bring on a coach or a mentor to help, because a lot of time we need someone to have a conversation with. It's just more fun to do it that way as well. But they don't need to constantly looking on what's new or who's the scientific method of doing anything nowadays. Those are the people in my circle that constantly look at who's the new study, what's the new study, and And even those studies, depending on the control group and the method, those might not be like maybe 10 years later, it will prove to be not quite true. Maybe it's not completely.
Right.
So people can work with a mentor or coach and then test it out themselves, because your body can tell you quite quickly how it work out. So why is it important to have a mind-body connection? If you can put it in a nutshell quickly to snap someone out from their limiting belief.
I think the faster you can realize that your entire reality is created by your perceptions of the world, which is your mind. Your mind is really you're looking through the lens of your beliefs, and your mind is making up every single thing that's in your life. But the sooner that you can realize that you're the thinker of your thoughts, and that those thoughts have power to show, when you only think a certain way, your mind will only let you see that possibility. And that's what a lot of people get stuck in terms of their fears. They only see impossibilities. And once you can master your mind and realize that this is all an illusion and your beliefs are just really thoughts that you can change, that opens up. First of all, that's relieving. When I had this epiphany, I was like, oh my gosh, I can change my life. I don't have to be stuck in this corporate job that sucks. I can, be a good mom and start this business and do what I love. And before I had that connection, I was just a slave to my thoughts. So I think that's so important for someone who's considering doing anything else. You're making up stories in your mind, and that's creating your current reality. Just change those stories and anything's possible.
That's so true. And we all have to think about that on a daily basis. It's a daily practice. Even though we know a lot, but it's still a daily practice because
it's so real. It's so real to you. So it is a daily practice.
Yeah. So what's your top 3 lessons learned from starting your own business?
I thought about this. So one is charge what you're worth, because a lot of people minimize what they do and maybe don't even think that they have a lot to offer. But I think in terms of solutions, not just services, and make sure that you're charging what you're worth. Know that you can't do it alone. For one, I was just so drowning and looking to mentors who've done it before you and can show you the way. And two, I think we're in the same coach in BBD. We have one of the same coaches, James Webmore, teaching me that you can't do it alone, that you have to create your business as you want it to be in the future, not that you're just hustling so you can get where you want to be. You have to start where you want to be now. So that means getting help with your business and help doing things that you don't like to do, so you can focus on what it really takes to get ahead. And then the third thing, that would be slowing down to speed up. That is so against my nature because I'm very type A and just a perfectionist at heart, a go-getter. So it's I want now. And when you get into that kind of perpetuates a panic mode. And when you're in panic mode, you really can't see the forest for the trees. So for the first time in the past few months, it's been hard. I'm actually slowing down to speed up. And that's that whole pivot I'm making in my business and actually creating something and waiting. So it's really good to to release it.
That's so true. That's so true. Slowing down to speed up. I usually, when I first suggest my client to scale, I usually will help them to scale down first. That everyone's freaking out when you're talking about scaling down. And but then, of course, if they can see past that, then that they can go a faster speed because
Yes.
there's no use to scale chaos.
Yeah, and that's how I felt I had been. I had really no rule book. It's when you go from the corporate world to being an entrepreneur, you go from this very, there are rules. There's, a culture that you're supposed to that you follow, and then there are no rules when you create your business. So it's very easy to get off track and feel like you're, I don't know, just whirling around. So it's that calming down is so, so important.
Yeah, well, talking about the corporate world, also we have a team to support us. So
Yep.
any visionary ideas we have, we can execute them with a team. That's so much easier. Now like even when we contract our work, you take some back and forth. So it's not like we have a 40 people team to support us or even
Right.
300 people to support us to execute our plans nowadays. So we have to
Yep.
actually, just like you said, slow down so we can make it more efficient going forward.
And that's another piece of advice I give to anybody who's going to start on their own is I really did miss the camaraderie and the discussions between colleagues, tossing ideas, bouncing ideas off of each other. So it's so, so important to find a circle of people who are going through the same thing, who have the same shared experience that you can bounce ideas off of and feel like you're a part of a group, even if you're on your own, but still having that core group of people who are support is critical.
True, especially a new group of people, not with your former
Yes.
colleagues. They're good networks, but then their mindset's different, completely different now.
Yeah, and I
So
think that goes into how you overcome people who are giving advice that's not the best. I have lost friendships and grown apart from people since I've become an entrepreneur because it's so difficult for people in the corporate world to understand really what it takes to become an entrepreneur and what you're going through. And, that has been sad. So I think, but I've realized that that was just part of me growing, and there's a new circle that's opening up to me.
that's so true. I think Lynn's commenting about
Oh,
nothing, our interview. She's another entrepreneur on our BBD. So we do have a
okay.
group of people that who support us and enjoy the conversations. I can totally imagine us. Maybe one day I'll bring back all the guests. We'll have just a conversation with a glass of wine, maybe, or beer,
Yes,
and
nice.
then talk about our challenges, our visions, our ideas. That will be so fun.
Hmm.
So, talking about challenges, what are the biggest challenge for you now?
I think I went through a lot of them. One is, going from that corporate environment when you're one of many to basically you're the leader, and having no rules is overwhelming. So, very quickly, as quickly as possible, I think a new entrepreneur has to come up with a routine and find a framework for their own business. So that has been a challenge. Finding a group of like-minded individuals that is understanding what I'm going through and that I can bounce off ideas with is another one. And the slowing down to speed up was the biggest challenge for me because just, if you're a type A person, you're used to just really going after what you want, and you expect results immediately, but that can be a great detriment
Mhm.
when and that perfectionist tendency, it really holds you back as an entrepreneur, and that I've had to fight against quite a bit.
That is actually so true because coming from being a former corporate leaders, we have a certain status and image we want to keep, but that also been detriment to being an entrepreneur because we worry too much about all the typos, things doesn't look as
Yes.
professional or not cool. So yeah, that is so true.
Because you would view it as such a complete failure if you got a poor performance review in the corporate world. You're like,
Mhm.
that's not acceptable. So when you aren't good at something right away, which I guarantee you're not going to be when you become an entrepreneur, you take that to heart. But then if you're afraid of failing, it's just going to be your downfall. So
That's so true. It is almost like we have to learn to have a beginner's mind again. In the corporate world, we are like everyone come to us for advice. We have
yep.
like upheld a certain kind of expertise. But being an entrepreneur, we have to learn. We have to feel comfortable of being incompetent. That's the
Yes.
word that is really scary.
Right.
And
That has been very scary for me.
once we let go, it's like we feel bad immediately, and then we just going the cycle all in our head of feeling bad and not taking action again. That
Mm-hmm.
is, yeah, that will be a very good lesson for anyone who starting this journey. So where can people find you online?
So my website is healthybyhilary.com, and my Instagram and Facebook is also Healthy by Hilary. Hilary is spelled with one L, so that's a common mistake. So it's Hilary. And then I shared with you a gift that I had for anybody who's listening, which is 10 quick and easy dinner recipes for the busy entrepreneur. So a lot of the reason why people don't eat healthy is they believe they have no time. So, but your health is your wealth, and devoting even just a little bit of time to a healthy and nutritious meal is going to go a long way in keeping their energy up, having clarity, and even feeling good about themselves. So I wanted to offer that to your viewers, and I think you're going to share a link for
Yes,
that, so you can
yes.
reach me through
Yes,
that.
I'll share a link. Actually, I download the book. It's so beautiful. It has some pie recipes, which I can't wait to try them out.
It's super
And
good. I've
and
already
let you
tried.
know. Oh, I'll tag you on my Instagram photo if I can take a good one
Okay.
once I cook them and then share that with my audience. And is there anything else you would like to share with our audience beside your beautiful recipes?
Well, I do have a Facebook group. I don't want it to be confusing. I'm changing the name in the next few days. So it's the new evolution of Healthy Over 40. And that is matching my program that is coming out in the next month, which is the Balanced Effect. And it's helping women over 40 look and feel happy, healthy, and sexy without sacrifice. So I'm helping women balance their hormones, balance their fitness, and then balance their mindset as well.
Wonderful. Wow. I'm sure that so many people will be like benefiting from what you're offering. So before we wrap up, what's your vision for your business and for the world?
So as I said earlier, when I was sitting in my office in my corporate job that was sucking my soul, I just dreamed that I could share with women the awakening that I was having in my life, and realizing all the possibilities open to me by understanding that mind-body connection and taking them step by step through making those little changes that they need to really reach out and grab the life that they love. And I absolutely reject the idea of accepting that life is as good as it's going to get, or that you have to wait, you have to work hard and then you're going to be happy. I think you can have your ultimate happiness now.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to know how to do it. So I really would like to create a movement for women just stepping into their power and realizing what they can achieve. And another huge thing, I guess I'm bringing in an extra idea, but your worth is not defined by the scale. And once you can accept yourself the way you are, that's when the changes come.
That's so true. That's so wonderful. Thank you for sharing your journey with us, Hilary. I really enjoy our conversation. I can see we can go on hours. So I'll wrap up for this time, and I can't wait to bring you back in to see how your movement's going, and hopefully we'll get more women to feel beautiful, both from like the inside and outside, and see where your programs getting you. And so I will be wrapping out now, and then
Okay.
we will connect on our social handle, and we'll continue the conversation on BBD.
All right. Well, it was great being here today.
Yeah, so for those of you who are watching the replay, please join us for the conversation and leave your comment below for the questions or comments for Hilary or myself. And until next time, set intentions, take action.
Yes.
Dream big, start small. So bye for now, Hilary, and bye everyone. Thank you again.
Okay. See you soon.
Bye. See you
Bye.
soon. Bye.